Going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the first new release of the year that I seen in theaters, and that is Den of Thieves 2, Pantera, which once again stars Gerard Butler, O'Shea Jackson Jr., and is written and directed by Christian Gudegast, who wrote and directed the first one. Big Nick is back on the hunt in Europe and closing in on Donnie, who is embroiled in the treacherous and unpredictable world of diamond thieves and the infamous Panther Mafia as they plot a massive heist of the world's largest diamond exchange. When it comes to Den of Thieves, I thought it was an okay movie. I didn't think it was great. I didn't think it was bad, but it was just one of those movies where I was like, that's probably just a one-time watch for me. And I saw the Blu-ray one time at Big Lots for like $2. I was like, you know what? It wasn't that bad. So I picked it up. I rewatched it yesterday. Felt the same way. I always thought that Den of Thieves just felt like a rip-off of Heat. It was trying to be better than Heat. It was trying to be the next Heat, and it's not going to be. It's not going to be a classic like Heat, and nor is Den of Thieves 2. Is this a sequel that really needed to happen? Not really. I don't think that the first one was so good where it was like, oh, we need to see what these characters do next and what kind of heists they do. It is interesting, though, because there are so many different heists. In the first one, they robbed the Federal Reserve of Los Angeles. This one, it's a diamond heist. So I guess there are different ideas that you could use for a sequel. I just wasn't interested in seeing a sequel and didn't think that the first one needed a sequel. This movie is also 20 to 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes too long. This is 2 hours and 25 minutes. The first one's 2 hours and 20. These are long movies. They're crime sagas here. And while director Christian Gudegast definitely has a keen eye for a good looking movie, there are lots of aerial overhead shots on cars traveling up cliff sides that have roads on them, and then off to the side of the cliffs you could see the European cities in the background. It's a very good looking movie, and it's a very well made movie. A lot of handheld cameras to get right into there with the nitty gritty, with the set pieces and the action. And I do think that aerial overhead shots like that I was describing give the movie a bit more of a sense of scale than the first one, but it doesn't necessarily make the movie better. I would say that this is probably on par with the first one. It's not good, it's not great. Having sweeping shots like that try to make this movie feel like it's grander in scale than the first one was. Elongated runtime does that as well, but I guess I just wasn't as interested this time around because it's a lot of talking. And, you know, it feels like it's slow. The dialogue is necessary for what they're actually trying to do with this heist. It's a lot of planning, but there's moments where I'm falling asleep here. I'm way less interested in this heist than when they were robbing the Federal Reserve in the first one. I think the new characters are really thin on top of returning characters that were already thin. So I'm not as invested in the story or the characters this time around, which is why I don't think Den of Thieves really warranted a sequel. But hey, January is Gerard Butler's month. He's like the king of the month now. He's had Plane last year. I think Den of Thieves 1 came out in January. Studios are actually realizing that this is like a stealth tactic. I said this in my short for Wallace and Gromit. Like, you can release like not so bad movies now in January, and it's crazy, man. Like, we're getting Wolfman next week, maybe something else after that. Who knows? I mean, that Flight Risk movie, who knows if that's going to be any good? We could have a solid January here. I did feel like planning the heist for this one was a little bit too drawn out, a little bit too long, and I wasn't really interested in the heist itself. The action isn't very fluid, and I feel like the movie has the Return of the King ending where it ends about 3 times, but there is one thing. There's a really cool car chase in a tunnel. This is probably the most fluid moving action scene of the movie. I just love the sound of the guns popping off, like assault rifles shooting at a car, this echoing to it. It felt like the echoing that you hear in the shootout in Heat, the iconic shootout in Heat, and it felt like realistic. Like, I feel like if you're in a tunnel, you're shooting off a gun, it's gonna echo. With cars on the road, with no cars on the road, whatever it may be, there's gonna be that echoing sound because you're enclosed. So the gun's echoing. I thought the sound design for that was spot on. And I'm not a gun expert. I don't have a gun. I've never fired a gun, but to me, that's how I feel like if you're in an enclosed space and you fire off a gun, it's going to echo like that. I do feel like with these Gerard Butler movies, though, the studios are just giving him sequels because it's Gerard Butler, and he's probably like going through his filmography, looking at every film in his vault, being like, now which one can I make a sequel to? And he's just popping out random movies that he can make a sequel to, which is why I feel like this didn't really need a sequel. Den of Thieves 2, Pantera is fine. It's got some great sound design. I think it's a well-made movie. It's a very well-shot movie. I'm just not as interested in the new characters that populate this film because they are so thin. I wasn't huge on the heist itself. I don't think the action, other than that car chase, is very fluid. It's a lot of planning. It's very dialogue heavy. It is overlong, as is the first movie. So that's something that carries over from the first movie that I didn't necessarily like with the first movie, but it's definitely one of the better January releases I have seen in recent years. And I enjoyed Den of Thieves 2, Pantera, with half a bucket of popcorn. 2 weeks into the new year, we already are on the long ass movie train bullshit. So let's just see how this plays out for the rest of the year with these long movies. So if you guys have seen Den of Thieves 2, let me know what you think of it in the comment section below. I'll leave my link to my website in the description below as well. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, and I will see you at the movies somewhere.